Hey everybody, Asher here, back with some more Hearthstone, where today we're taking a look at a little bit more of a fun deck once again. This is a deck by Savjz. It's Yogg-Saron Druid. Almost Miracle Druid to a point because it does play multiple Auctioneers, tons of spells, and it does play very, very interesting, a lot like a token Druid in a way, in that you have Violent Teacher and Power of the Wild for a lot of token potential. Then there are a lot of substitutions that Savjz has made throughout this deck. This is just one iteration right now. He does stream this pretty constantly. I do recommend you take a look at some of the VODs. But we're going to try this deck on ladder today. It's kind of how it works, plain and simple, is that you want to get the board as best you can early, hold on to it. Yogg, Hope's End, is more of a come from behind option, if possible. Sometimes it's going to screw you, generally it will not. However, it's especially fun to have a handful of things and get Astral Communion all the time. So you do have a good assortment of big cards in here that you can try and play together with some combos if you can get Therissian off. The dream, of course, is to get Stag Helm going with something like Cenarius. But regardless, we're just going to jump in here. It is sort of a mid-rangey-ish deck. But like I said, the tokens are the key early. Later on, it's actually getting some big plays. Yogging if you have to, and otherwise kind of overwhelming your opponent. Let's see how it plays on ladder.
You asked for it.
I must protect the wild.
Now that's so nice that we actually get a little spell counter here, but regardless, the only card that may possibly be a keep here is Feral Rage to try and take care of something early. I might actually keep it in case I need to remove a Flame Waker. I mean, otherwise it's Swipe. But this is very, very likely to be Tempo Mage. So that will be a good call to see how this kind of works out. So let's go ahead. Probably discover a spell. Generally, with Raven Idol, discovering a spell is the right move. Discovering Wild Growth is amazing. So we could technically innervate Wild Growth right now, but I have a lot of things I want to innervate later on. So there's the good old-fashioned Overwatch card back. I did not opt for that. There we go. Oh man, we got Violet Teacher potentially next turn as well. So like a lot of these Druid decks, the question is, do you hit your ramp? But Druid's still at a pretty interesting place because you always have to ask yourself, well, you don't have to ask yourself, but the question for me is always, where is Druid at in this game? Okay, so Fandral is good here. Fandral could be good to combo out with plenty of things. Do I play Teacher now and develop the board? If it's Freeze Mage, he hasn't played anything a few turns yet. I think it's more correct to ramp at this point.
The land serves me.
So at least bait out a Frostbolt or something. I don't really want to play a Naked Teacher or a Naked Stag Helm and just let him Fireball it or whatever. Even though I'm up 2 mana on him right now, so we do need to press the advantage eventually. So there's the Flame Waker that I figured was coming, and is this actually a Frostbolt as well? Oh, Arcane Blast, okay. Well, this is exactly why we kept the Feral Rage. For this exact moment. And we get a swipe as well. This is probably... I could go big here, because I could Feral Rage and just take this out. I think it's more correct, though, to Violet Teacher, Innervate, Swipe, make some dudes.
Pay attention,
so let's do that. Versus Tempo Mage, there's actually surprisingly few swipe opportunities. So we'll take this here. See what we can get now. One of the big questions with Druid is, where's your card draw? Savjz was running 2 Nourishes for a while. That didn't work out as well, at least in one of the more recent iterations from today. He had taken him out, but it is something that you can definitely throw back in. But notice he's using Premium Removal, did not get a clean off here. Beautiful Drake top deck. This deck isn't without card draw. Raven Idol's good. Discover a spell. Get another token. Ooh, okay. Mulch is good. Savage Roar's good. I don't know how much we'll need to hard remove. We already have 1 Mulch, but it's not in hand. Ugh. I kind of like Savage Roar for the tokens. I kind of like Nourish just to replenish our hand, though. Because next turn we could have a Nourish Feral Rage, which is not awful by any stretch. It lets us counter the board quite a bit. And once again, it does help us really press our advantage. I don't really want to wait around for a Stag Helm on turn 9 to try and get the useless, by that point, mana crystals. And just the card draw anyway. So what do we got here? Second Flame Waker. Once again, why we kept Feral Rage. And it's going to be Arcane Missiles. Yeah. That's just the bread and butter of... wow. That's just the bread and butter right there. Alright, question now is, I still think Nourish is the right play. This is a decent swipe, but I'd rather draw. The thing is that I only have a token survive if I do it that way. Because I gotta take this out.
I wonder.
I guess we'll just play Stag Helm and swipe. That's actually reasonable because that lets us Feral Rage. And gives him another thing that he must remove. So take advantage of the spell power. While we can.
I shall do as you say.
Like I said, we got some card draw in there. We could potentially do really good with this in just a little bit. And we've played 6 spells so far, so our Yogg is totally reasonable. That's one of the fun parts about Druid, is that they have a lot of cheap spells. But yeah, Feral Rage is an interesting card. The more I've played it, the more I've been kind of interested. Uh-oh. Good spell, not good spell, good for me spell. Gotta remember how much mana he's on. Or Flare Brass, could be he or she. Alright, 1 mana, so probably not a big answer right there. So we... Oh, that is an amazing Wrath. Thank you, Fandral. The dream right here. And let's just go ahead. We're going to save that for removal. Let's go ahead and draw some cards. We may be able to get some good stuff out of this. Now, you don't want to play Yogg while you're ahead on board. So there's Gadgets in, there's Mulch. We may or may not have missed a dude by doing it in that order. Yeah, totally. Apparently totally missed where I could have played Violet Teacher ahead of time, but I don't know if there's a great punishment for playing Violet Teacher right now, though. So let's go ahead and press. I mean, they both survive Flame Strike. And he's only on 7 mana. And the question with Tempo Mage is how much Flame Strike do they run? This also sets us up potentially for something good next time, but once again, having to use a Fireball on Fandral is just great. That's one of those things where it's a 4 mana card, but it requires you to really deal with it. So once again, this is the idea, is that we're going to be outlasting him quite a bit. Arcane Missiles as well, so you're dead. Yeah, that's just how that goes. Alright. I think this is a reasonable Emperor, as nice as... Well, we could draw some cards here, but he's out of removal at this point. I mean, if we Emperor, we could get a lot more plays with spells. Plus, this still gives us the potential to do something with Feral Rage. And we still have both of our Druid of the Claws as well. So, decent matchup versus Tempo Mage. At least here it's worked out for us. And of course, as usual, it's interesting. It's like I do work during the day. Dogs don't care. I start recording something just as a little bit of a break, and the dog's like, "Oh, it's time to eat." This is a every recording occurrence, isn't it? Okay, 9. Let's see here. So we have 4, 7, 8. We'll save that.
I got the best deals anywhere.
Alright, so this will give us a lot of tokens. Second Auctioneer.
I am ready to learn.
Alright, Druid of the Claw, so we got that for next turn. We got it for this turn, but we can't actually finish off the game with it, so it's very unlikely when he's playing multiple of these that he's playing Reno, so I don't think that there's an issue with us charging here. I mean, Flame Strike's beautiful, but we could put in all the damage. And somehow we are at 2 mana crystals and 0 mana. Not sure. Not sure why. That seems like a display bug, or maybe I just did something. So there's Flame Strike. Did he top deck that? Like I said, it doesn't really matter.
Well played.
Sometimes you just gotta be the beatdown. Almost accidentally gave myself 8 armor. But that's good. That's kind of how you hope these matches go, right? Didn't even have to Yogg, of course. And we played 12 spells, so it would have actually been a decent Yogg. Let's do another one.
Let the hunt begin. I must protect the wild.
Alright, I guess with the dogs there must be some Pavlovian thing here, but Feral Rage I still think is a good keep here with coin based on potential Misha or even taking down Huffer. Or just if it's Face Hunter or High Pressure, the 8 life gain here. But I'm going to pitch the rest. It doesn't give me as much of a turn 2 play, but I'm trying to get a little bit into ramp. So Living Roots is good. Power of the Wild's potentially good anyway, so turn 1 Living Roots. Could give myself 2 little saplings, so he didn't have a turn 1 play. That's a positive. Now, there's a school of thought, too, that in some matchups you should not be making 2 of these things versus Warrior versus Priest. But at least watching Savjz play, he tends to do that another way. But we drew Yogg. This could be a Yogg game. Alright. Would love a wild growth here. We got nothing. A little bit of face damage. Alright, so we know it's mid-range. Everyone's throwing 2 Doomsayers into their deck lately. And I guess that's not awful. But just a few damage off here. Not high enough priority to do anything else with it. So, I think Coin Teacher is reasonable. Power of the Wild just for the body's okay, but inefficient. We'll do it that way. With the Token Druid, and Token Druid was probably the deck I played the most, ECOP's version, once upon a time in Mexico. It's not something where you want to get super greedy and just go for the tokens from the Violet Teacher all the time. Although right there, that may have been a little bit better for me if I had done that. So we'll go ahead, we'll play Teacher.
Pay attention, class.
Try and make a few tokens here.
I'm ready to learn.
What spells do we have today?
I'm ready to learn.
Oh, not Astral Communion. Nourish is alright. Mark of Nature could be better here, but I think Nourish is the call. Like I said, the question is, one of the issues is going to be, assuming turn 8 we have some kind of power. Oh wow, Deadly Shot too. Alright, well we got some token value out of there, that's fine. And we actually have a very swipeable board. And we prevented the card draw, because we have a pretty high curve. So that's nice. Once again, we're not doing the best with our mana efficiency, which is a little bit annoying. But there's really not going to be much of a better swipe than this. We take 2 face damage. Our turn 6 will reveal itself at some point, but he left it on a platter for us. So that's how it goes. So no Kodo. Kodo's only 2 attack. I keep forgetting if it's 2 or 3. Got our second swipe. That's amazing. Probably more efficient if we play Teacher and Hero Power here. We don't have anything in hand that directly challenges the board.
For the wild.
So anytime we can get a little bit of armor, put a little bit of damage on the face, that's fine. We still got a lot of damage somewhere, some way, shape, or form. Eagle Horn Bow. Savjz was playing Harrison Jones for a little while. Playing Harrison's always a meta call about whether you're facing a lot of classes with weapons, and even then are you going to get value out of it. So we got some options. Turn 8 opens up pretty well if we Azure Drake Feral Rage. Which means, do we taunt here? I think taunting is pretty reasonable. Even though I'm seeing more druids on ladder lately in my own experience, I'm not seeing a lot of people tech in the Black Knight, especially in mid-range Hunter. So we'll hold on to that. I think Azure Drake plus Swipe is gonna be pretty useful. That's getting mulched. I mean, we don't have much of a choice in that end, so let's see here. Wait, that's not mulch, that's nourish. Alright, well, we don't have a great way to deal with it this turn. So I guess we'll just make him trade.
For the wild.
If he's going to trade. That's the key question. Because he could just be waiting for better play next turn. We do have 5 spells for a Yogg, which is not a huge Yogg, but it's something. It'll be 4 of them will be Astral Communion. Whew. Alright, this could work out okay. Because that's 7 and then 2 here. Almost accidentally played Nourish. Again, my brain is really wanting me to play Nourish for some reason. That can't be healthy. Living Roots is an amazing top deck too. So we still have some other potential problems here. Question is it better to attack for 4? I think we save it. I mean, we don't really need the 4 damage right now. We can just outright kill this thing. Develops another spell in case we need to Yogg out of... In case we need to Yogg out of dodge. And this still lets us heal. 8 armor is in fact a heal for 2 at this point. So Direwolf is good for us. And he's actually trading in. That is fantastic news. So we don't need to Yogg yet, as fun as that would be. Let's Nourish. Draw 3. There we go. Keep talking about the card, might as well do it right. Okay, Wrath is good. Double Wrath is great. We could draw even more. I have a feeling that Taunting Up's the right play, though. Especially when we can potentially spell power. I mean, the amazing thing would be to get Fandral and then multiple Wraths, but spell power Wraths are still very good. Alright. If he's not attacking in, it's likely Freezing Trap. Okay. How do we want to deal with this? Okay, put a little more pressure on the board. This doesn't really play around Unleash very much. Doesn't even really play around Snake Trap very much.
For the wild.
Guess I should have Wild Growth first. Mistakes were made, right? Cenarius. Ooh. That's going to be good. We're going to play around the trap, though. Question now is, does he have... Like I said, it could be Freezing Trap. It's not Dark Trap. And that's a Houndmaster? Alright. We're not behind. That could have gone better for us. Right, so I guess we test, don't we? I mean, if it's Snake, it could be any number of things. I mean, I'm really tempted to just Cenarius and buff these guys up, but that doesn't really help me survive very much. I can put 2 taunts out, and that's not a bad thing to do. Let's check and see if it's Burr Trap. Freezing Trap, alright. Well, nothing says lovin' like Cenarius with 2 taunts on an empty board. Especially when he just played Unleash. Alright. Still don't need the Yogg. And that slime can just kind of do its own thing. There we go. Like I said, Yogg doesn't have to be your strength, but Yogg is a very good comeback mechanic, that's for sure.
Your soul shall be mine. I must protect the wild.
Alright, Fandral's not very good in the opening hand. It depends on what kind of Warlock this is. And by the way, the reason I didn't play Yogg last time, not only was I not ahead on, or I was ahead on the board, I was waiting for Call of the Wild, which it seems like the hunter was hoping for but never drew. So this is a better start. As nice as it would be to actually get some of our ramp in here, but you always mulligan as if it's Zoo. So Feral Rage,
My greeting.
good against Zoo, or not on coin, which I prefer to be on coin versus Zoo. It might not be Zoo. Now, Thalanos is an interesting card. It's a card that used to be in Druid list all the time, and it was one of those things that's like, I could craft it, but I never really got around to it. The question you always get is, what's the replacement? Do you want it for the spell damage, which would be Kobold? Do you want it for the card draw, which would be Loot Hoarder? Here in this deck, I mean, Thalanos synergizes with a lot of things, and I guess technically he's there for the card draw. But if you're going to replace it with something... Oh, it's Cthulhu Reno Lock, then. Okay. Well, we shall have ourselves a grand old time. Might as well get the card draw while we're here. I mean, we could have innervated out the Azure Drake, but there's a lot of things that could have actually killed it, so might as well get this going. Mark of Nature, Claw. Ugh. Well, this combos with Feral Rage, alright. May actually need that if it's a Reno lock. Tough call. Let's get Claw. More reliable. None of those are like great auto picks, though. Alright, so we can just go for some straight up removal here, perhaps. Yeah, let's do that.
For the wild.
Still saving my innervates, but so far we got to keep our spell count. 4 spells, more spells. Is Yogg-Saron going to be able to beat Cthulhu is, I guess, the question of the hour. We do have a potential innervate into Cenarius or something else. We do have a potential Azure Drake, innervate, Power of the Wild, which would be pretty good. I'd really love to get my teachers here.
So many possibilities.
But we have a board. That's a plus.
Who knows what
Okay, so that's gotta die. And we can kill it like this.
Where shall I strike?
This is one of the things that I always appreciated about the way ECOP would play Token Druid back in the day, is that you do not be afraid to charge your bears. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. I mean, the alternative would have been a little bit different Azure Drake, Innervate, Power of the Wild. But with our Auctioneers and everything, I'd rather take the more proactive approach. So we're just trying to clear his board. He doesn't really have... I mean, that tells me something. If he's playing a Cthulhu deck and he's dropping Brand that quickly, with only these on the board, he either has nothing, or he doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm going to be the optimist here and say that he probably has nothing. So I think in that case, this doesn't play around Hellfire very well, but I'd rather ramp and get closer to Cenarius, who we could potentially get out next turn anyway. Yeah, let's do it like this. 1/1 for all the minions. And just go face.
For the wild.
Because if we can get a Cenarius out, we'd actually be able to get a Cenarius and a Claw, which would make a difference. But of course, the question is always when you're facing this kind of Warlock is, does he have the hard removal, which would be Hellfire in this case? Does he have Reno? All right. It's actually the first time I've seen that be a decent play there. Okay. I still think we innervate Cenarius here. I mean, Swipe would be good. Swipe is probably better to combo with Azure Drake. So let's go ahead and do it like this.
Who dares defile this ancient land?
Alright, so... one there. Go ahead and get the claw in.
For the wild.
And while that didn't save him, we're just trying to put pressure on him at this point. So we're still in decent shape. And his Cthulhu is only buffed to 9/9, so Twin Emperors does not actually save him. There's Reno, okay. Important thing is that he Reno'd and we're not gassed. Alright, so how aggressive do we want to be on Reno here? I mean, obviously we gotta kill him.
Where shall I strike? For the the wild.
Like I said, I still want to save my Innervate Swipe, but now we know it's a Reno deck, so that's going to inform a lot of our choices here. He still does not have a fully buffed Cthulhu, and there's not a 1-mana card that's going to make it happen, so Twisting Nether, that's good for him. Alright. Let's draw. Guess we'll just draw again.
Job's done.
Therissian's not so great here. Alright, Therissian's very good for him here. I guess we can do that play too, although he has more cards in hand. Okay, key thing here is that once again he's not buffed his Cthulhu to a point. He probably has a lot of answers in hand though, so there's Siphon Soul. That's gotta be Siphon Soul. Alright. Said our goal now is just to put all kinds of pressure on him. Alright. Wild Growth's okay here. Could get us something really good. Is Living Roots really good here? You bet it is. So here's 3. I guess it doesn't really change our line of play. We could do 4 damage here, but we're still going to have to bust through at some point, so let's get the saplings.
I am ready to learn.
Let's get our, let's see here. Do we have enough mana for this play? We do. Alright, let's get our 1/1.
I am ready to learn.
So this will buff his Cthulhu. But at this point, at least I'm not getting Brand. And I've got a lot of bodies on the board if he does. If he does elect to do things. So let's see here. We're now out. Demon Runner. All they have.
Well played.
I just got owned. But still, what else? What other player are you gonna make at this point?
My seal for Argon.
Right, you got anything else? No. Unfortunately, neither do I.
Pay attention, class. Instruction begins.
Yep, 1 off lethal.
For the wild.
At least he's not Renoing here, right? Do we have outs right now? We do. We have Raven Idol. We have potential for Yogg Victory. We have Mire Keeper. Swipe would be the dream. Wrath, not really. Mulch would be good if he's... So there's Cthulhu. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well played.
So, Innervate into nothing. Well, that's good. I mean, Cthulhu, Reno, scary in general. That's just why we kept putting pressure. And we just barely had enough to do it, so I'll take it. So while we did not have a chance to get a Yogg-Saron play out there, which was a little bit unfortunate, you see that the strength of Token Druid is still alive. I mean, there's obviously tweaks that you can do to the deck based on what you're facing. That's one thing Savjz is always good with, is changing the deck based on what he's facing. He has a very good read on the meta. But regardless, this is still a deck that's very interesting. I do think Mulch is a scary card to play, but usually it works out more in your favor than not. Yogg-Saron is a scary card to play, but usually it works out more in your favor than not, because you want to play these cards in specific situations. If you're going to Mulch something, it's worth it. If you're going to Yogg a board, you're typically hoping for some kind of board clear or some kind of come from behind. But otherwise, this bread and butter of this deck is tokens. You get some card draw here. Druid of the Claw is always going to be good. Fandral is just going to be fantastic if you can get the good plays with them, but you don't want to be too greedy. But otherwise, it's Druid, and Druid is a deck that, while it isn't necessarily the strongest in terms of its power level, especially in terms of nerfs that have been faced. A lot of it does have good matchups with Warrior, especially Tempo Warrior. It does have a good matchup, or a decent, I'd say a little bit above 50-50, versus Miracle Rogue. And it matches up pretty well with Shaman. And in terms of what you're facing on Standard right now, that's about all you can ask for at this point. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. This is Asher. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, know more, find out more. But we'll do this again in the future. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave your thoughts or any questions in the comments, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.